Hello, we're back with some more adventure. This morning we're up on Rocky Top Road, which is right off of like 325. This is right where the asphalt stops and the dirt begins, so I thought this was a good place to start the video. It's been real wet, so a lot of the OHV places have been closed, like Davenport and Hut. So when they're closed, you have to get creative, and usually the gravel is still okay to ride. So this is real close to my home base, so we're going to just play on this road and see what we can find. Up to this point, it's just a windy, goes through farm country. There's quite a few cabins. But this is a little ruddy in here. That used to be a motor home. This road's got some ruts in certain places, but it's nothing too crazy. Looks like there's some people living off grid back here or something like that, I don't know. Just country folk living. But these are the kind of roads I like to play on. And this little XT is a fun little trail bike. We haven't had rain for a couple days, but like I said, a bunch of the OHV places still have shut gates. And, you know, I understand why they do that, because four-wheelers can really rut out the trails, and then it makes it rough for everybody else. I don't really like riding in super big ruts, because jerks you all around, and I'm not a big fan of getting thrown off the bike and beat up every ride, you know? Oh, little deers are running all around. You got some wildlife around here. Yeah, buddy. Now that sign back there said it was Pit Road, but I guess it changes its name. Now I looked on Google Maps, and this, if you come up here, and I think it'll take you to some road called Moccasin Creek or something. And I'm just making a big loop around my place. pit road. I don't know where that went. I'm going to go back on that road because that looks more exciting than this road. Anything dirt's more exciting, right? And since this has the same Rocky Tops Forest Road, I don't know. We're going to just see where it goes. You know, you just don't know until you explore. And sometimes this turns out to be somebody's driveway. But all you can say is sorry. This is going up. Taking the elevator ride up. This bike likes just a real consistent throttle. It has light throttle response, and if you're too heavy on the throttle, you're just going to start to spin that back wheel because everything is so light. So I would rather come up these kind of roads slow without spinning all the way than trying to come up here like I'm on a MX race. I do most of this climbing in either second or third gear, depending on how rutted and rough the road is. If it's too rutty, I stay in second. pretty up here. Some of these little gems of roads you just don't know about until you come out and explore for yourself. They're not going to be listed. See now, it just shifted on its own, and I don't like that. I'm going to have to investigate why it decides to shift on its own. It's really ironic because I mentioned before, I had a DR350 SE that had the same problem with that gearbox. And that gearbox had a bolt that came loose that's like right behind the clutch basket. And after I tightened that up, everything was golden. So I don't know if this Yamaha gearbox has the same deal or not. So I guess I'll have to poke around on some thumper forums and see what the masterminds say. But if I have to go into the clutch, it's probably a good time to inspect the clutch and put a clutch in it. If you go to all that trouble to take the cover off and you're in there, it's like, you know, take the clutch apart, and if anything's burnt, deal with it. Put some heavy duty springs in it. But, you know, I'm not a master mechanic by a long shot, but I know a gearbox is not supposed to shift by itself. I mean, on the road, there's never a problem, but as soon as you get off-road and it's jarring around and stuff, it will do that, and it usually does it at a inappropriate part of the trail. And if your bike suddenly goes from, you know, like second to fourth, well, then you lose all your momentum and you're stuck. Not what I like to be. So I'm gonna have to address that. But I'm sort of in a transitional stage right here. I'm still trying to sell a street bike, and I have my eye on an XR. So then I know if I get the XR, I'm going to have projects to do with that, and then that'll give me time to tear this apart to see what the hell's going on inside in this gearbox. But I hate to take the cover and the clutch all apart on this if this is my only toy. But you know, there's always something to fix and puddle with and whatever. I'll stop rambling. Oh, this comes up to the cell tower. No wonder. Okay. Alright. As you can see, cell tower access. When I used to change meters, I used to always have to find these places. And they actually usually make some pretty good trails to ride on, but when I was doing meter stuff, of course I was in my truck, but now I know where this goes. But this is a fun little run up here, so if you take that Rocky Top road, be sure to come up here. It would have been nice if there was a clearing here, and you could, because we are pretty high here. The marker here says 4363, if that means anything to anybody. But I don't know if this is Horizon or AT&T or who it is. But I spent many a times changing electric meters on these sites. Okay. This is a nice little trail, so I highly recommend you checking this out. And you can let engine braking take you all the way down here. It's pretty much a no-brainer. But this trail is fairly well groomed, and it's actually not even as rutted out as the Rocky Top was. But that looks like sort of a hiking trail up there. I can tell we are really high. I can only see little slithers of like a lookout through here. But I'm still glad I came up here. Any kind of dirt or gravel I like to see for myself. That's what a lot of these gravel roads are around here. It's cell tower access, because the guys need access to the towers from time to time. And they're usually roads like this. Although I've been on some that were pretty gnarly. It all depends on drainage, because the drainage is what destroys roads if it's not drained properly. You could actually come down here with no engine on. But this bike is pretty easy on gas, usually about 60 some miles a gallon, and I even have this jetted a little on the rich side, because when I took this carby apart, you know, stock carb is lean city, and so I upped the jet's main and pilot. And that, of course, made it start much easier. And like I always say, I'd rather have it a little rich than too lean. Now there's another little trail that looks more like a hiking trail. You probably could take, you could probably take this bike on there. I'm not going right now, but that's a good XR trail. Most of these are little hiking trails. But I am going to have to figure out this automatic transmission I have now all of a sudden. And normally, whatever happens to your bike, it's usually happened to a couple other people, and normally there's stuff written about it on the forums, so you can usually get a handle on it or figure out what you're dealing with, and then you can decide whether you want to tackle it yourself or take it to a shop or whatever. But these bikes are pretty straightforward. They're not, you know, it's not too hard to put a new clutch in it or whatever. You just need basic hand tools and a few extra tools, but and there's always YouTube University. You can Google almost anything, and there's usually a few videos of somebody doing what you want to do. Some, of course, are better than others, but that's the way it is. And most of the popular bikes, there's videos for almost everything. If you have a weird kind of a bike, you know, then it might be a little bit harder to find information, but the major Jap bikes are pretty well covered. Well, now I know this little road is the cell tower road. Now the thing is, with these super light bikes, I consider this almost like a motocross in lightness. You are thrown around by ruts and stuff. You never really feel firmly planted, so to speak. But it's better to let the bike go than to try to ride these, you know, white knuckle or real rigid. You sort of have to let the bike go a little bit and go with the flow. If you try to fight it, that's when you can get whooped off. Just squeeze the tank with your knees and act like you're on a pony, and it's all good. Now this really came up pretty high here. This road has been maintained rather well. It's got a lot of new gravel on it, so the cell companies usually make sure that their roads are passable. A lot of wildlife back here, a lot of deer and a lot of hawks. I'm not a bird person, but I've seen a lot of those big hawk looking things, whatever the hell they are. It's actually good that you're under canopy, because if you were all exposed in the sun, it's getting to be warm. I can feel the heat. I never fly down a road, because if you're flying down the road, it might be fun, but if you had to stop for, like, say a truck was coming up, pretty much you're going to be his hood ornament. And I certainly don't drive the way I drove when I was 20. That's just part of life experience, I think. But as you can see, this is a pretty little dirt road. So if you come to check out Rocky Top, make this little left. You know, it doesn't go anywhere, but it's a fun little ride up to the top of the cell towers. Would have been a bonus, like I said, if it was a clearing and you could look out. It would be maybe a Kodak moment, but there's none of that. It's just, you know, to the top of the hill kind of a thing. And like I said, you can come all the way down here without even your engine running if you want. I don't know where that little part of that little road goes. That looks sort of like somebody's driveway. And a lot of people here in the mountains don't really want strange people coming up their driveway. Sometimes you're met with a double-barrel shotgun. So, you know, common sense goes a long way. So we'll keep rolling here for a little bit, and I won't bore you too much on asphalt, but I believe this will come out to Moccasin Creek, and then that goes out to 129, right back where I started. These are all private driveways. Alright, I think I'm going to wind this up because this is not really anything too exciting. It's a nice road, but you know, it's a paved road. What can I say? Alright, let me pull over here and make some adjustments. So that was a quick little video. If you're around Davenport and that's shut, you can just cross the street, cross 129, and you can hit this rocky top. All right, over and out.